big believer in using mulch in my vegetable garden. Mulch suppresses weeds, it helps soil retain its moisture, it moderates soil temperature, keeping the soil warmer in the winter and cooler in the summer, which helps soil organisms thrive. It provides nutrients for soil organisms, and it reduces soil compaction. So here I am pruning the suckers on my tomato plants. What does this have to do with mulch? In a small way, I'm contributing to the mulch layer because I'm following the permaculture chop and drop approach. Anytime I prune a plant in my garden, as long as the plant is healthy, I drop the prunings right back on the garden bed, adding in a small way to the mulch layer. And though I have very few weeds in the garden because of mulching, when I do find a weed, I pull it and immediately put it back onto the garden bed, unless of course it's gone to seed, in which case I'd want to add it to a hot compost pile in order to destroy the seeds. But now let's talk about what you want to do if you really want to get serious about chop and drop, and if you really want the full advantages of it. Permaculture advocates intentionally grow plants that are dynamic accumulators of soil nutrients. Plants like comfrey, nettles, lamb's quarters, clover, and mint. And they grow them for the express purpose of chopping them and adding them as a mulch. Today I'm running a little low on comfrey, and I don't have any nettles, but I have lots of lamb's quarters, mint, and some clover. So I grab my trusty bucket, I make my way around the yard, and I chop up these plants so that I can use them as mulch. Let's start with mint. Mint is a dynamic accumulator of magnesium and potassium. Now typically with the chop and drop approach, you do just that. You chop and drop. You do not uproot the plant. However, mint is so invasive that I go ahead and pull it up by the root, knowing that the mint will come back on its own very well. This is a great way to put the mint to good use while keeping it from taking over your garden. Because I don't want mint taking root in my garden beds, I cut off all of the roots from the mint plants I've uprooted. And because I'm a little obsessive about not wasting good organic matter, rather than throw away the roots, I cut them up and I throw them on the garden path in the sun. So far using this approach, I've never had them take root in the garden path. After chopping up the mint and adding it to my bucket, I move on to lamb's quarters. Lamb's quarters is a dynamic accumulator of nitrogen, calcium, and magnesium. This job would have been much easier with some garden scissors, but notice that I snap off the branches of the lamb's quarters rather than uproot it. Leaving the roots in the soil will provide organic matter to the soil, and as the roots decay, they will provide pathways for water, air, and soil organisms. As I was chopping the lamb's quarters, I frequently came across clover as well. Clover is a dynamic accumulator of nitrogen and phosphorus. When I'd come across it, I would also add it to my bucket. After accumulating all of my chop and drop materials, I went ahead and gave them another good chopping so they will break down a little quicker once added to the garden bed. In addition to the dynamic accumulators just discussed, I also pruned some of the ornamentals in the yard and added that to my chop and drop bucket. And finally, I added all the chopped material to my garden bed, giving the bed a nice boost in nitrogen, calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus. And here's a look at the garden bed after adding all the chop and drop material. This bed is currently fallow, but will be planted for the fall and winter. Well, that's all for now. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found it informative. And until next time, remember, you can change the world one yard at a time.